Hello everyone. Today we're going to paint a beautiful sunset over a lake. It's going to be amazing. And if you like it, please subscribe, please like, please comment. Let's get going. I paint for self-care and I teach beginners acrylic art to others to do the same, to help people unwind and relax and enjoy art. So let's get going. I'm going to turn the camera down. I do talk through my videos. I don't zoom them up or put music on. So if talking's not for you, you might not want to watch this. So if you go into my group or you message me, I can send you the reference photo that we're working from. I'm just pulling the apron up. And it's a beautiful landscape of a lake and trees and a beautiful sunset. So what I'm going to do first is grab an acrylic pen. You can use paint to do this as well. Is sketch out a little bit of what we're doing. So I'm going to go up and I'm just going to do a rough sketch. And there's some mountains, and you can really, I'm a great believer that anything, you can do anything that you like. If you've got the reference photo, you can use that. If you don't want to, then you can just do your own thing. It can just give you a rough idea of what I'm doing. And we're going to come down here. There's a bit of land that comes out. This doesn't have to be perfect. We don't need to do perfect. And that's it there. And there's some sort of trees that come down. A bit like that. We can change this later. And then there's a reflection of some trees. So I'm just going to put that in a little bit so we roughly know. There's a lighter bit here, and there's also another light bit, here. I've got the reference photo on my laptop, so that's why I put my hand up. So yeah, that comes like that. And then we've got the reflection which comes down. This just gives you an idea of where your colours are going. You don't have to do this. I quite like doing it because it just gives you that guide. And there we go. That's our guide. So the sky is going to be, actually I'm going to do another little thing. Shall I do it in blue? Have I got blue? Yes. An orange actually. Let's do the orange. Now I have 68 acrylic pens. I love using acrylic pens for drawing, and you can do a whole painting with them. It does take the pressure off. I have tremors, so I find them really useful. So there's some orange here. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to map out a little bit where this orange is. It just takes the stress, for me, it takes the stress of thinking when I'm painting, because I know where everything's going. And so this is quite a good way of doing it. I did do this in my Facebook live yesterday. I wanted to do it also for YouTube so that everyone can have a go at it. So there we go. I don't know if you can see the orange. Yeah, you can. So this will be orange here. This will be orange here. This is blue. And then these are our trees. It's quite straightforward. It's quite relaxing. So what we're going to do is get going with the painting. I'm going to, you can put a bit, let me show you the colours I've got. Now you don't need to use these colours. You can use whatever colours you have. I'm going to use ultramarine blue. I've got brilliant purple. I always think purple is quite hard to mix and make it bright, but whatever you have, you can just choose blue. It doesn't have to be. This colour of the reference photo's got a bit of purple in it, so that's what I'm going to do. But I want you to choose what colours you like. When you see me painting this, you choose your favourite colours and put them in, because it doesn't have to be the same as what I'm doing. And I've got an orange, which is the sunset. So we're going to put a bit of water, or I've got fluid retarder here, just for ease. I'm going to use a flat brush, and I'm going to go into, I'm going to need a bit of white, I think. Where's my white? So let's get some white on my palette. Dip my brush into a bit of fluid retarder, and I'm going to go do the orange first. So we're just going to literally put this on the paper. Now you might need to do more than one coat. Don't worry if you go over to your land, because that's easily rectified. We're going to go over that. We're going to need more than one coat. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to do the same. The trouble is, when I use canvas a lot, but you don't, it works okay. But when you use paper, you sometimes have to put a few coats. Made it a bit watery, but I'll go back on that later. So we'll see. We've got 2 areas of the sunset done already. We'll work on those. These are just the base. I always think of like the base colours. I have another flat brush, but you can use whatever brush you want. And I'm going to go into blue. But first, actually, no, I'm going to go into blue, and then I'm going to add a bit of this purple. So can you see I've got the purple, brilliant purple and blue. So I'm going to go in with my ultramarine blue. I'm going to add a little bit of white to that. Just want it a little bit lighter. That's it. And I'm going to go up the top. Tiny bit of water, but not too much, so it doesn't make it too watery. It's very warm here. Now, if you can hear a buzzing, that's my fan on my legs, because it's so warm. And if you join my group or you find me on Facebook, you'll see that I did this as a live. Facebook saves it for 30 days, but I wanted to make sure that people on YouTube could access as well, which is why I'm doing it again. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing it last night, so I thought, oh, let's do it again. I did that on canvas, this is on paper. Now what I'm going to do is add a bit of that purple into that blue. And what it does is it just gives it that lovely purpley bluey wonderful colour. I don't like to mix mine too much, because to blend it too much, because I quite like different things, what do you call it, different hues in my sky. Now when you come back down to the orange, don't blend it too much. I mean, it's actually dried already, it's that warm. We're going to put a little bit of white in between the two, but I'm going to do another coat of orange as it was quite weak. While I've got that on my brush, we're just going to add a little bit more white, a bit more blue, and I'm going to go down here, make it slightly darker towards the edge. I'm going to get blue all over my work top. I don't care. I usually do canvas so I can hold it up and it doesn't move around as much, but this isn't too bad. This is just so relaxing. It's just wonderful. And if you want your sky a bit lighter, just add some white. You can have a few clouds going on now. Oh, that's pretty. Happy accidents. And a bit of movement in the water you can do if you put white in. That's another little tip. But this is just such relaxing painting. I had to bring it to you because it's just wonderful. It's a way to switch off, just enjoy the feeling of the brush. This is what I like to do. Going through breast cancer and the brain disorder, it's just like a really good way for me to switch off. I've had quite a stressful morning this morning. I've had an asthma attack recently, and I had to talk to a neighbour about using their incinerator, and it was difficult, and I found that hard to sort of say, you know, it's making me ill, so you can't really do it. I could end up in hospital, but I had to do it. I had to say it. He was very good, but he was good. So, but I did find it difficult to do that. What we're going to do now is we're going to add a little bit of white nearer to the orange. So as we come further down, it's going to be a bit lighter. Now you could do a smaller brush. I'm just going to do the edge of this flat brush, and it always gets lighter as you go further in. Now we're going to work with that, with the orange. I'm going to do that, and also going to make that lighter. I think I'm going to change it and have a smaller brush for that. And it works if you let it dry as well. I'm going to go over with some orange and white. It's just where the two meet, you want quite nice transition. Now don't forget, acrylic's layerable, which is great. I'm going to go back to my flat brush, or whatever brush you had for the orange, or clean your brush. I'm going to go back into the orange. Excuse me. Going to go back into the orange. I'm going to add a bit of white. Now the reason for that is to make it stand out. Now when I say that, it just means it will hold the colour better. It's going to go quite light, but I'm just going to put that in, and don't worry if it goes into your mountains or at your hills. I'm just going to put that, it's just literally to merge the blue and the orange without getting a weird colour. You don't want a muddy colour. And then I'm going to go back on the orange to brighten it up. And that's why it's good really to do this stage before we do the hills, because we can cover the hills over the sky, but we just need to get the sky in. Because the hills are going to be quite dark, so the sky is lighter, we need to get that in. Add a little bit more light to it, a bit more blue and purple, whatever you want. Just go with what feels right. Flat brushes are great because they do what they say. They're flat and they're quite good for spreading. So when you're doing something like this and you're spreading it over, that's what the flat brush is really good at. I love it. I think my favourite brush is probably a Filbert, and well, I like mop brushes as well, but I've got into flat brushes. What I'm going to do is that in the water particularly, it's a little bit more watery. So I'm going to add a little bit more white to that orange. Got my wipes here to wipe the brush between. And if you need to change your colour or brighten it up, just add some white. And go back on with the orange. And the other thing I like to do is just to go in with a white and just blend between the two, and it just gives a nice, always go back over. with whatever colour. I've got a brush for the blue and a separate brush for the orange. Because these two are opposite on the colour wheel, they just look amazing together. This is why it just works so much. What I'm going to do is put a bit more orange on my palette. And so I'm going to go in slightly with the reflection. Let's wipe that white off a little bit. But you choose what you want. I mean, you might want it a bit lighter. Yeah, lovely. And just play about with it and see what you like. This is your painting, so I want you to just choose how it feels. Lovely. I'll move that palette to one side. Put those brushes over here. Some wipes here. So this is what I've done so far. You'll see there's a lovely sky and we've got that orange sunset and it's just blocks of colour, and that's what's so beautiful about this. It's really lovely. There's a light blue line. See this bit here where I've done a little, there's the hills here and there's a blue line here, and what we're going to do there is put in a light colour. What it is it's a separator between the land and the water, and it's a sort of light blue, so well, even white we can do. We can work on this later, and I'm going to put it in, do that now. Make it quite light. I'd say a light blue. Turn it around so you can see it. Could always change this and work on top of it. It's that separator between, as I said, between the land. Don't worry about not going in the edges, because we're going to cover this over with a darker colour for the land. But I think it's best to put this light colour in now, and then we do our dark over the top. Doesn't have to be this thick, but if we make it thick, then when we put our dark on top, we've got it there. You see? Now paintings always look a bit odd before you put everything in. We're just putting the shapes in. We're now going to go back to, are we going to go, no, we're going to do the land, and then we can do final touches later. So on my, I'm not going to clean my palette's over to one side. I'm just going to get a bit of black. These trees in the reference photo are very dark, so I am using black, and you can use some green too if you have a dark green. I've got phthalo green, but you can mix a green, you can use a green, you don't have to, you can just go with black. As I said, if you want to come to my group and get the reference photo, then you can decide what you want to do. You can have a look at what I'm doing. I put the reference photo up in my group in two places, and my group is Amanda's Beginners Art Community. You get the reference photo and you do the YouTube with me, but you can do the YouTube without the reference photo. I'm just wiping my hands because I'm getting green everywhere. I'm always so messy. Now, use whatever brush you want. I've got a filbert here. It's a little bit damp. I don't want it too damp. Always use a bit of water, and I'm going to go in to some green and some black. And I'm just going to paint in. I'm going to use green. Now, I've got some black on here. But the thing I want to say to you is that all colours, acrylic, particularly if you get acrylic, you know, Liquitex Basics and the sort of more reasonable priced paint, is relatively thin and it will dry darker. And what I'm doing is just going along. We've got that line still from the light. This is our trees. You don't have to be too precious about this because you want to add a bit of texture. In fact, you can just tap, and then if you do that, that's called stippling, but you just get a bit of texture. And it's quite nice because this is trees, and it would be, this one wouldn't be because this is a reflection, and you can do it a bit thinner. And I'm just going to add some water, because what you want to do, not too much if you're using paper like me, is you want it to be a bit watery. You can make it more look like water if you want to later. And we're just literally going to go around. Do a fairly straight line if you can, because you want to mirror what you've got above. We're going to do the tree bits in a minute, but you don't need to stipple this because this is a reflection. There's a bit that comes down there. And I'm just painting this in. And so let's go to this reflection this side. And come up. You might want a smaller brush for this bit up the top. Go find one. Now we're going to make this look more like trees in a minute, but for now that's fine. Now I'm going to go to this last bit up here, and we're going to just do what we did before. A bit of stippling, which basically means tapping. And you'll see that tree shapes come up. You can do it that way. We can actually do it another way as well. That helps with that effect. So that's a nice way of doing it, a quite easy way of doing it. And bring it down, sort of quite flat at the bottom. And I'm going to add a little bit more dark to the bottom. We just want that line, because this is the land. A bit more tapping. Technical term is stippling. You can add different shades to that, but it's quite dark because it's evening. Add a bit more black onto this shadow reflection. I'm going to go into my small brush, and I'm going to use quite dark here. And we're literally just going to do, this is the land at the back. And you can make it a little bit bumpy because it shows that there's things going on. And I'm going to grab black here. I'm just going to go along and turn it on its side. Now the orange had gone over the area that I'd drawn in, so that's what I'm doing. I'm just going over it. Black will cover it. I don't want you to worry too much about this, and move your brush a bit because you can make it look like little trees. You can go back and do a different way of doing that, and then make sure you do a straight line across. This is our water's edge, and it joins in to that land. You can add a bit more green. And then we've got, and you try and make it as straight as you want, but I mean, to be honest, it really doesn't matter. I wouldn't worry too much about that. You can use an acrylic pen, you can always go over it. And what we're going to do now is make sure you've got a small brush. We're just going to go, this is literally the reflection of above. And then what I'm doing is just literally, we're going to use the filbert for a minute and just do little taps. These are just little trees. I'm just using black at the moment. You could use a green too if you want to. This just brings in little bits of trees. And it's just mirroring what we've got. We've got sort of a mountainy bit there. You want it to sort of match a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. So what you're doing in the reflection, you sort of want to match. I'm going to go and just little taps. You can use the fan brush for this. And I'm just literally tapping. Pull it down, just drag it down. And you'll see, you'll get like little tree-like things. Filbert brush is good for this. Also, fan brush, you can do it. We're going to use a filbert. I've got the filbert, so let's just use that. If you want to see how to do fan brush, I did the fan brush in my live. And that's what I'm doing. And just mirror it. Little taps, little taps. And then we're going to come to bigger taps here. Oh, I've got a bit of green in my blue. That's not a problem, you can just go over it again with blue. If you're careful, you can wipe it off. I'm just using black for this. You can use the black and green together. Maybe make some of them bigger. Doesn't have to be an exact mirror. I just do the filbert on its edge. This is fun. And just literally tap away. Put a bit green in there if you want. Tap away, drag, drag, drag. Go to this side. Don't put too much paint on your brush when you're doing this. Don't worry if the reflection doesn't look as dominant as the top bit, because it wouldn't be really, it's reflection, and you can add lines to make it look more like a reflection. And you can use acrylic pen for this as well, make it look even more like trees. And I'm just going to do some trees up here. Show you with a fan brush. If you've got a small fan brush, that's ideal, but if you've got a bigger surface, then you can use a bigger one. And I'm just pushing up. Just push up with the fan brush, and then you can create, actually don't need to do it on that, you can create it just going down here. Straighten up that edge. You can always use an acrylic pen to straighten up your edges. We only need a little line, don't need a big line. Put a bit of darker blue into that. It's just that line, just it separates the two things. So you can actually just do a very thin line. And you can add a bit of blue into it. I'm going to probably add a little bit more blue on that. And you can use maybe a bit of green, add a bit of blue, just for the watery look. To make it, and I'm just doing lines. This makes it look like it's more of a reflection. Go back to our fan brush. Oh. If you make a mistake, don't worry, you can just wipe it off. I don't quite like that, I'm going to leave it. It slipped a little bit. I'm going to add a bit of green. If you add a bit of green on top of the black, it gives it that look of land, but it will dry quite dark, and then all you do is put some more green into the water. It gives it that reflection. I made a bit of a mistake here, but just wipe it off. It's come into that light colour. That looks nice. I'm going to add a bit of blue on top of that anyway, so that's not a problem. I just want you to say, if like you think you make a mistake, just think of it as an opportunity. It's an opportunity to maybe change it, or, you know, change what you're doing, change what you're thinking. Don't go, oh my God, it's ruined, I've made a mistake. Just think, right, well, what can I do? What can I do to rectify it? What would look good? And that's really the joy of it. If you can get to that point where you do that, missing a little bit of blue here, I'm just going to add a bit on. Go in again. A bit more blue. I wiped off a bit of my blue, so I've just literally put a bit more blue in. And we can go back with another brush. A bit more blue, and I'm just going to put a bit more in. Bit of white, a lot more blue. I make such a mess on my work surface, and I love it. Oh, now I've got it all over my arm. I've got it all over me. This is why I wear an apron, and this is a new dress I got underneath, so I don't want to get it on there really. Right, I'm just going to go back in. I just go over that blue. Lost a bit of the colour, and then I've got a bit of white in here, and it just makes it look a bit watery, which I like. The other thing you can do is, if you've got another little brush, get a bit of white, tiny bit of orange, just on a light colour, and you're just going to go, I don't need a little bit of water retarder, or fluid retarder, or water. We're just going to make a lighter orange, just on that edge, blend it in. Oh, it's fab, looks fab. Then we can go in with the dark orange. It's quite light, this reflection, so I'm just putting a little bit more light into the water, because the water would be a bit more, it would just be a little bit lighter. And I'm just going up the top. There's white a bit up the top as well, so just add a bit of white to that orange. Just the finishing touches. You don't have to do this. It's a little bit of a light bit between the two. Now, if it's not going on, just get a bit of water. Now going on a little bit with the blue as well, blend it in a bit. If you've got too much, don't worry, just go in with your white. Rub it in. Just blend that white in. Just want to soften it slightly. Just work with those colours, and just until you get it how you want it. I just want to make it slightly darker at the top. Yeah. Beautiful. It's lovely. And there we go. A beautiful sunset with trees. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please do a like, a subscribe, a comment. Join my group, Amanda's Beginners Art Community, and follow me on Instagram. just come and join the group. You can get the reference photo, you can have a go at this yourself, and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye for now. See you again in the next one.